faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
Good evening and welcome to the Phoenix Podcast show with truly yours, Ken Sharpe. Tonight I'm excited to give us the story of Ethel Mupambwa, Dr. Ethel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ken. It is a pleasure to be here and to be talking about inspirational stories. You're doing a great work. Let me commend you on that. And I believe stories can change people's way of living.
Amen. They change lives, you know.
They do.
So we really are all about sharing each other's stories because we all have a great story to tell. The reason why is, you know, the phoenix itself, the bird, the mystical bird that I adopted as my totem, it rises from the ashes. And we like telling stories, inspirational stories of how people have risen from the ashes, literally from nothing into something. So let's go back to the beginning. I know you're a doctor and you have so many qualifications and you've achieved so much, but let's go back to the beginning. Where were you born? What was life like as a young girl?
Wow. It's a story. And like you said, going back to the ashes, I'm looking back, I'm seeing everything as it were back then. So Ken, like you said rightfully, I'm Ethel. I grew up Ethel. People in my village, especially my grandmother, whom we call Gogo, could not even pronounce the name Ethel. Should say Exera.
Exera.
So they'll know me as Exera. But I grew up in a rural, dark streets of Nembudzea Gokwe. You know, where I come from, it's one of those places, even in today, we see whenever jokes are thrown on social media platforms, the weirdest jokes of backwards information, they'll tell you these messages come from Gokwe. So you can really understand and see how the environment was like then, and even now, even though it has developed a bit, but imagine the sarcasm that's thrown around. And when I come here, especially on platforms like this, I always say, Gokwe yazviita zvekare. Because it has done it again now in a positive way. I grew up a young girl, a patriotic society, a father who was a polygamist with so many wives, many children from our home. And for us girls, it was not really something that really mattered, especially when it comes to education. The priority was given to the boys first before the girl child. So for us girls, it would be a fight, a very big fight.
Just to go to school?
Just to go to school. Yeah, because you're expected to be home. You're expected to be taking care of the home. And from a young age, you're already a mother. They're expecting you to take care of, even of the younger ones. The siblings that you have. And then why are you going to school? Because our mothers had to go to the fields, had to go and work somewhere. So imagine this is such a scenario and a setup where you're growing from. And deep down in your heart, you're saying, but I'm an intelligent girl. Whenever I'm at school, when I'm given that opportunity to go to school, I'm on the second position. I'm on the first position. But why? Why is life like this? And more so, you know, my father was a businessman, which I believe I take the spirit of entrepreneurship from.
So he gave you something that was good.
He did. I actually appreciate the work that he has done in me, because even then in his businesses, we started participating at a very young age, you know. So he had stores at Nembudzea Growth Point. These stores were written Chiwara Stores and Sons. Mm-hmm. Chiwara is my maiden name. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, Ken, sitting there, okay, this guy has got these many wives, but his stores are actually written Chiwara Stores and Sons. Where are the wives in this picture? What more we daughters? It means we are far from this, even the contribution to the wealth of the family. Even if we are working in the fields, we are working in that shop, contributing our time and contributing our intelligence, it means we are not counted anymore. Because at one time, the belief was we are going to be married and be away from this family. So we were not part of the equation in any way.
So go back to those days, Ethel. I mean, it must have been so hard feeling undervalued, underappreciated, unrecognized. How did you break the glass ceiling? How did you persuade? Was your father in your life? Was there a father figure daily in the house? Talk to us about some of your experiences.
You know what? The father was there. But the bias is that I'm talking about to say, yes, he is there. But he's taking more care, especially for the boys, than for us. But one thing that I believe is always there, Ken, is when you have it in your heart, when you carry it, you know, the world will open up to it. I remember a story my mom always told me is that there's a time that I was sent away from school because he had not paid school fees then. So we were sent away from school. But I realized, oh no, my colleagues, the boys are in school, they were not sent out. So in my thinking, I thought, you will not be sent out from school if you are a boy. I went to my mother, I cried, Ken, I said, go find somewhere to change me to be a man.
Oh,
I want to be a boy.
Oh.
I want... So you
How
can
old were
imagine. I think I was around grade 4 when I cried, me wanting to be a boy. So my mother said, go to your father. He must be at the beer hall there sitting there. Go and tell him. I can't do anything about this. I was brave enough to go to the man and tell him, if there's any way where children can be changed from girls to boys, I want to be one of those, you know. You know, the noise could not be stood. The only thing that they did, they to buy a trousers and give it to me.
No.
I then believed now that I'm in a trousers, I'm now a boy, so I now can go back to school. So because in our society, we girls will not be allowed to wear trousers, you know, so we'll be always in skirts. So my feeling was, if I get into these trousers,
you're now empowered to be a boy.
I'm empowered. Now I can go to school. So you find that the passion and even the aggression that I had from a young age, I believe it made me to be who I am today. So I was privileged then to be sent to a boarding school.
So just slow down there. So 10 years of age, you decide, I'm going to study. I'm going to, by any odds, I'm going to go back to school. And I'm going to pursue education.
Sure.
What was it in you, do you think, that made you believe that education was the right thing?
For me, I loved learning, Ken. You know, it was one thing going to school, flipping those pages, reading those books. It just really excited me. And also, I believe that spending my whole time at school, it's more valuable than just being at home. Anyway, spending the day at school was actually easier than spending the day at home. At home, you'll be told wash plates, do the cooking, go and look for the firewood, for the water. So imagine at school, you're just there, sitting there, and someone is talking in front of you. I think it was the easiest of life. For me, I think it was the easiest of life. But I want to believe that even as a young girl, who understood the concepts and who appreciated what was happening to her, it pushed me to say, no, I want to be in a classroom. I want to be there. I also want to learn like what any other child of my age is doing in that school.
So you had a natural intellectual capacity. You did well, you excelled.
Sure.
And how was your parents looking at that? Did they recognize you? Your father, did he say, okay, I've got a smart daughter here, I need to support her?
He finally did. With certain struggles and life now moving on, me coming out with flying colors. I tell you, Ken, when I did my A-level, one of my subjects was mathematics, which I did very well. He spent the whole day with the result slip in the growth point, showing his friends to say, look, the girl did it. So now after that, the issue of going to university was now an easy talk.
Okay.
After me proving myself that, look, Father, I can do this and this can be done. And I could see now that he's starting to appreciate that this girl has got a talent. This girl can make it in life, you know. And me talking now about I want to go to university, it was a very good conversation, especially for him, because I had then gotten exposure from the school that I had gotten to say there's an university to go to. But before I went in that scenario, I want to tell you the story that happened when I finished my O-levels. I finished my O-levels. The sentiments were still the same. She just pushes for school, this one. We know her. She makes noise about it. So after O-level, a planned marriage had already been done.
Oh.
Sure.
Married off.
Yeah, I was supposed to go and get married. And I said no. The first question that I asked him was, if I go for this marriage, is this guy going to continue taking me to school because I want to go for what is called A-level? You know, if this guy is going to take me to A-level, then it's a good deal for me. Remember, I was growing in a society where it was so common for a young girl to get married. And ultimately, for us, we believed a girl has to be married anyway. So I want our audience to understand that, you know, there's a certain raising that kids are done growing up out there. Some things and decisions that they make, it's not really that they really made a choice out of exposure and knowledge. It's because of how they've been raised.
Right. The cultural norm.
The cultural norm. So this is the reason why they make these decisions, and they need to be guided. So we should not quickly judge people, you know. Now I really appreciate so much that I could have made that decision just like any other young girl in Embuzia Gokwe, who is making a decision today to say, I'm 16 after all. It's a year where there's so much drought after all. So why should I continue at this place with so much hunger? Maybe I could get married and have my own kitchen and life goes on. So really, sometimes it's not out of ignorance. It's because we lack exposure, we lack the knowledge, we lack the motivation, you know, especially with these talks that we are doing. We lack that voice for someone to stand up for us and tell us that we can do better than who we are today.
Wow.
So I had to run away from home when I was told that...
You were going to get married?
Not that I was going to get married. When I was told that it's his decision to take you to school or not.
Okay.
And I was looking at it and I'm like,
It's a risk.
really? This is a big risk that I cannot stand. I had to run away from home. I had to run away from home and, you know, trying to find my means. I tried to look for a sister who was in Harare. Told her, you know, this is the situation. I'm not standing for that situation. I want to go back to my school. I know if I go and talk to my school, especially the headmaster, and tell him my ordeal, I'm sure I can be working during holidays, learning during the term, compensating for the fees, if it is the way it has to be, just for me to write my A-level, because I know I can do it.
So this is now a boarding school. You had gone to boarding school.
I had gone to boarding school, yes.
Where was it?
It was in St. Francis of Assisi in Chivu.
Okay. So
yes.
you moved from Gokwe?
From Gokwe, yes, because I grew up a Catholic. So my mother was actually one of those ladies. She was a nurse at Mutora Hospital in Nembuzia Gokwe, which was a Catholic hospital. So, you know, the interactions with the fathers and all. Now I am here. I've done well. So that bursary took me to my secondary school, and the fathers took care of that. So, but it was just up to O-level.
All right.
Yes. So for A-level...
You needed some funding.
I needed some to go ahead. But I knew if I'm to go back, they know me. I'm their student.
All right.
And they know my situation. So I'm sure they would hear me. So just look for that bus fare for me to go back to us.
To run away.
To Chivu. And I'll take care of the rest then.
So you found the bus fare and you got to Chivu.
Sure.
What happened?
I did my A-level.
They allowed you in?
Yes.
And they paid? Can you believe that?
It's God's grace. When I look at it for me, I say, this is truly God's grace. Yeah, I passed. And after passing, I knew there was a university to be taken care of. So the time that I went to university, I enrolled at NAST. You know, there was still government assistance then for our first year, but for second year, that's when we started paying school fees at university. It was a bit of a struggle, but now I had now older siblings who were now enlightened to say we need to support this young girl. She can make it.
So hold that thought, Ethel. She can make it. The young girl child stood up for what she believed in, getting an education. We'll be back.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
And we're back with Ethel. Wow, what a story, Ethel. So now you've got your university, you've got your first year sorted out, getting to the second year. What was it like?
Getting into the second year, I could see this is now a challenge. Yes, my siblings could come in, but to what extent can they really come in, you know? It was something that I started imagining to say, if I don't help myself here, no one is going to come and help me in any case. So I started a little business selling sweets at the university. Yeah. So I think this is where also the entrepreneurial mindship was now starting to kick in for me as a student, saying I need to favor myself, I need pocket money. I don't even have a phone. You know, others then, they now had those 3210s.
Okay.
But from where I was coming
Those Nokias.
yeah, those Nokias, but I didn't have even a phone. So help was not anywhere near. Even if I want to call home, was there a phone home? No.
So you were on your own, literally.
I was on my own, literally.
So how did you buy the sweets? Where did you find the money, the capital to start?
You know what? I had like I told you, my sister was now coming in to help here and there. So that little one, I said, if I just spend it, all of it, then for me to get in touch with my sister again, telling her it's all done, it seems as if I'm already giving a burden. Already she's also now a family woman. She's a mother. She's got kids to take care of. So I need to grow this little money and survive on the profits and make sure I keep the capital for me to continue and survive on the profits. You know, it's actually a very exciting journey when I look back now, because when then I got my first attachment going to third year, because of that, I'm telling you, I was intelligent. I am intelligent.
We can see that.
Yeah. So because now of that, my grades were also super. So how I got my attachment, I was actually so much afraid to say, how am I going to go for interviews? My English speaking was not this sweet can. Literally, I could not speak English. My spoken English was poor. I'm coming from a rural background where we speak deep Shona.
Right.
You know, our origination is from Mashingo Gutu. You know, in Shona, when in that deep Shona, when I want to say I'm hungry, Ken, when you hear someone saying "Do we jara," you know it's really coming from deep roots. You know, so Ernst & Young comes, picks students for attachment. Boom, I'm one of them because of my grades. So I was attached at Ernst & Young. At Ernst & Young, this is when I got the grooming. I commend it, the training that they will make us go through, you know, the grooming. How do I relate as a woman? How do I sit? How do I make, you know, my chin up? How should I look confident in myself? How should I improve in my spoken English? You know, I learned so much.
Where were you? In which city?
I was here in Harare.
In Harare?
Yes.
So you came to EY Harare?
Yeah, I was in the city. I was a transaction advisory services department. I was not at the audit because I was doing BCom finance.
Right.
Yes. So it really excited me. You know, that transition really, really excited me. And I knew I'm no longer a Gokwe girl, you know.
You no longer
by
have to
my
sell
makeup.
sweets.
Yes. Yes.
Were they paying you?
Yeah. During attachment, yes, they would give us assistance, you know, as students. But I excelled so much during that year, Ken, and I learned a lot. I opened my first company, registering my first company when I was in third year, when I was at Ernst & Young.
Amazing.
I
So
d-
back to the sweets, I'm interested. How much did you start with?
I don't really remember,
Was
Ken,
it
but
$1?
I
Was
knew.
it $5?
But I know the money could make me buy if I would go to the wholesale industry, down there in
Yes.
Blawayo where the wholesalers were. I could buy the whole pack with assorted sweets. It could fit to buy. I think it was 2 or 3 packs.
Right.
Yes. So I went to there, and I knew from one pack I could bring my capital back. The other 2 packs were actually profits.
Profit. So you're making 60%,
Yes,
66% profit.
yes, the other 2 packs were actually now of profits.
And how long would it last to live on that money, those 2 packs?
I'm sure for my meals for the week, I was going to be so sorted.
You were good.
I was good to go.
So you were living literally off 2 packets a week.
And it was so sweet for me because I didn't demand
so
much.
sweet. It
Yeah,
was
I
sweet.
did, because I just needed a plate of sadza during the afternoon and another one in the evening. In the morning, I'll just wake up, take a bath, walk to school. I didn't need any luxury. I didn't need any luxury. In any way, I was coming from a background where we would wake up, maybe if there's a plate of porridge, you just eat porridge. If there's no plate of porridge, it was not something that you would stop by and say, where's a plate of porridge? So I'm not going to do these chores because
I'm hungry. You just carry on. You get on with life.
You carry on life. You would understand this is where we are as a family. And because we're growing up at a polygamous setup, we were children that would not want to trouble their mothers. Somehow you would understand that my mom is troubled already and I can't add on to these troubles. If there's anything, I should stand up to help her in whatever she's trying to do.
So let's fast forward a bit. So now you finished your BCom honors. You started your first company. What then happens?
I finished my BCom honors. I came back to Harare. I'm looking for a job. Hey, I went to a certain interview at a certain bank. They asked me questions, Ken. I'm failing to express myself.
Nervousness?
Not only nervousness, but to find the English words to put in my sentences, for me not to really speak broken English, because I knew, especially for bankers, they needed someone who would flow in their English speaking in any way. It was sort of like, it's one of the criteria, the requirements. But I couldn't do this. I struggled in that interview. You would try to join this, that, there, then. Oh my goodness, Ken. Then I said, you know what? For some reason, I remember that interview because I asked to express myself in Shona. To tell them, ndinozviziva zvinizvi, ndikuzviziva, but ndinogonera kutsanangura, in my cover. And they wouldn't give me a chance to do that.
Oh, they wouldn't
give me a chance to do that. So I failed the interview. The other option I told them was, can you give me an examination paper?
Okay.
Because I could write.
Written perfect,
but it's so different. Written and the speaking is different. So I did not do well. I failed. I said, what's the next thing? From that time, I lost confidence in going for interviews.
Oof.
I wouldn't apply for a job. So when I was doing my rounds in Harare, trying things to do, I started ordering hair pieces, selling them in saloons, trying to survive in Harare. Then I got tired. So I was sitting there was a Wimpy First Street then. I was sitting at Wimpy First Street then. I said, you know what, let me ask for a job here. I asked for a job at Wimpy First Street. By God's grace, I got a job as a porter.
A porter?
Yes.
What does a porter do at Wimpy?
They clean the plates, they clean the floors, they go collecting the plates, dishwashing, making sure the kitchen is clean. I did those duties diligently, Ken. I remember by the time our manager would come with the keys, I was already there. And they had a garden at Wimpy Street. I would make sure before I go home, I'll hide my broom so that before they come, I would have swept that garden. These are the things that I would normally do, even at home, would wake up, do the yard, blah, blah. So it was not really a difficult thing for me. I was very comfortable, even if I knew I had a degree. I would do that. I continued as a porter to the extent that one of the senior managers from head office noticed that the porter at this branch is an excellent porter.
A David.
Exactly. Then he called me, say, okay, young girl, you have been doing this very well. Tell me, how many subjects do you have? You'd expect that.
The answer is maybe one or two. From
Yes, because you're a porter. And then I'm like, I have a degree in finance. He's like, what? I did my attachment at NSNJ and was like, what? So immediately I was promoted and I joined the internal audit department. Immediately said, I knew this excellence of these duties could not be just done by a mere person. But my message, Ken, in talking about this is that sometimes we miss our opportunities because we are thinking we are too qualified for certain duties that we have been given.
The menial ones.
Exactly. I always tell youngsters, I talk out there to say, you know what, youngsters, show thyself all the time. Show that you are capable. If you are trusted with this small portion, you can be trusted with a bigger portion because we have shown that you have done it. And in everything you do with excellence. You don't need someone to really be following after you. Just give your all. Give the excellence that you can. I did it with so much excellence. I was promoted. I became an internal auditor. I learned how to drive. I took a driver's license. I would travel from Gweru, Westgate, Wimby, doing the audits and everything else. And life started changing. I started getting confidence again. My second job, I then got as a finance and admin manager. Imagine, from internal audit, to finance. Not at Wimpy now, at a different command. Right. I then got this job at Rockshed Car Rentals and Tolls by Corner Fourth and Samora there.
Yes. You're still in your 20s now, I imagine.
Yes.
Still young, but you're now a manager.
Yes. And, I believe even Mr. Mupambwa is still out there. You can testify. I did my duties diligently. I would work with drivers. They are male guys. These are drivers. You need to manage them. You need to be interacting with them. You need to be communicating. And they're even older than you. And you need to understand your position and make sure things move.
Amazing. So how did you get a PhD? I believe you have a doctorate in business leadership and entrepreneurship from the International Women's University.
Yeah, sure. So now, when I did Rockshed, for me to get there, I had met my Ken. The love of my life is called Kenneth Mupambwa. The one who
it's really a Ken.
Yeah, he's a Kenneth Mupambwa. So I met Ken, then I decided to get married now, after my own choice, this time around.
Not forced marriage.
Unfortunately, my dad had passed on in 2010, and I really wished he was there for him to now see her girl flourishing again. And I had big dreams even for him, So I then got married, but my entrepreneurial spirit was still there. So I said to Ken, you're the father of this home. I know I will not go back hungry if you take your responsibility seriously. I'm just the woman here. I'm leaving my job at Rockshed. I want to start something of my own, So I started the first microfinance with a group of friends, which did not go well. We flourished, but I think because we were young, we made money very fast, no mentorship, nothing. Life just happened. as quickly as we rose, as quickly we went under.
How long was it? 1 year, 3 years?
About 2 years.
2 years.
2 to 3 years, the first microfinance, So after going under, I had to sit down. I then started my master's with NAST. Then things were not really, really in shape. But I had so much passion in microfinance. I knew this is the thing. This is the things that I want to do. When I talk to women out there, because even when we started the first microfinance, my argument with my friends was still, let's go to those women doing small businesses. This is where our market is. I had not worked in a bank. I had not succeeded in that interview. But my friends, I had friends who had then worked in a bank. So they wanted us to do the bank methodology of doing things even in a microfinance.
For women.
Yeah, especially for women. Yeah.
Hold that thought, Ethel. We're just going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
And we're back with Ethel here. It's amazing, Ethel. So now you've found this opportunity, a unique opportunity through some of your friends. They're telling you banking, microfinance. You failed, you rose and failed within 2 years, but you had the courage to go back into it, this time looking at women specifically.
Exactly. And I said I would do it again. So this is the time in 2013 that I registered MoneyMart Finance. I said I'm doing it again. Earlier, I had met another woman from Kenya in the circles, in us doing some of these duties, especially with where I was at Transaction Advisory Services. So, who was also passionate about microfinance. So I had attended a certain seminar. I think it was organized by some microfinance association. Back then, it's now VEC. But I attended it and I took details of that woman. So now opening MoneyMart Finance, I said, I need to do it right. I started looking for those people again. I said, you know what? I need to do microfinance here. How do I go about it? Please teach me. And the lady said, if you have money, you can fly to Kenya for a week. Don't worry about accommodation. We'll take care of that. And I was like, wow, I had to work hard, Ken, for that to happen. Mm-hmm. I went to Kenya. I saw through microfinance with my eyes for a whole week. I came back so much determined. I said, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. I came back. I registered MoneyMart 2013, 2014, trying to make things work. Finally, I got a license from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, and I went full throttle, especially with those women who were selling bells at Copacabana, Charge Office. I would do rounds in town. And I said, you know what, guys, you can pay daily. You can, every day I'll be coming to collect my $3 every day for the 30 days, so you pay me back my money. And it worked.
So how did you start? Where did you get the initial capital from?
The initial capital, remember, from the previous microfinance that had collapsed. So we had to share our little money. And from the previous microfinance that we had started, because I had friends who had fathers with capital, they believed in us, gave us some money, and other ones from church who believed in the vision, young people, empowering young people. So I had some savings from there, from when it collapsed, and then say, guys, this has not worked. And others were believing we are going back to formal employment, blah, blah. I said, I can't go back to formal employment. I can't be in an interview, not anymore.
So how much cash did you start with? What did you have?
I think I started with something like around $250 Ken.
250.
It was 200 because then I would give loans as low as $20, $25. I remember I celebrated. My first client was called. There was this a guy called Tafadzwa. Uh-huh. He's the first client that I gave $100 loan. I celebrated, Ken. You know, I didn't sleep that day.
You were more
I
happy
could
than
not
him.
believe it. I've given $100 loan. What? This is massive. This is huge. It was huge for me. I even today, I celebrate my little milestones. You know, every milestone I celebrate. Even my colleagues' birthdays, I say, guys, let's top here. Let's celebrate this year that our colleague has attained. Every little thing we celebrate. In MoneyMart Finance, Ken, if you were disbursing $100, if you break the ice and start disbursing 120, we put pens down. We celebrate.
So to give the audience a comparison, what is the total loan book today of MoneyMart?
From where we are now,
Yes.
as MoneyMart Finance,
Yes.
MoneyMart has grown, Ken. We are now talking about over 35 branches across Zimbabwe.
35 branches.
35 branches.
So if you were to take the total exposure of all loans today, what is it?
It can get to around $5 million.
5 million. So imagine
Yes.
from $250
$250
to $5 million.
to $5 million.
From that $100.
From that $100, we started growing. Yes, the journey was not easy. Let me go back there. Because I remember, yes, 2014, you know, you'll be struggling. 2015, people are starting to believe in you, talking to friends, guys, I'm looking for money. I can give you back because I could not afford a bank loan, don't have any property,
Right.
don't have any title deed. I'm just a girl from Gokwe who's trying to do something in Harare.
He's very passionate.
Yes. So around 2017 into 2018, I then won a competition from Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund. I got funding of about $350,000
Wow, that's amazing.
You know, so it was a $200,000 loan and $150,000 grant. Getting into 2018, I did amazingly. The business started growing in 2018. 2019 devaluation came. The loan book was swept. You understand the odds.
Wiped out.
Wiped out. It was going back again.
So that's before dollarization.
Yeah, because it was, we're using the dollar as
Zim
in,
dollar or US dollar?
Yeah, it was Zim dollar.
Zim dollar.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know the understanding. When we get into it was US dollar in our understanding, but with local currency. But when we got into 2019, when the devaluation came, now $1 was now given a value for the local currency. But for those us who had loans out there with people, then the law then said we cannot revalue those loans.
Right,
So
right.
if someone was owing me $10 in my thinking, sitting in my book, literally now because the dollar is now $1 to, I think it was about $2.50, it was slashed because that $10 was no longer $10. I was now converting it to the local Zimbabwean
Right.
dollar, and it was now less than the $10.
Right. Sure. Tough.
So imagine the hit. It did not go well. But I continued in the Ken. Things were tough. And, you know, when things get that tough, even you as a team, even with my co-founders, we started debating a lot. Others thinking, guys, this business will not work. Not in such an environment. And I'm telling, guys, this business work. It's beyond money. Let's go back and hear the testimonies we are hearing. You know, Ken, at one time I went to Highfield where one of my clients were. It was an old woman, a go-go, selling by the roadside his tomatoes, you know. So because she was so trustworthy, I made her to be a sort of like an agent. So when I'm running late, I'll tell go, please collect my repayments from others. I'll come and collect from you. So this time she gets sick. I don't find her there. So I said to my colleagues I was working with, let's go to her home and find out. So the granddaughter saw us coming to the home. She started running into the house. Go, like people from the bank have come. I called the young girl, said, how do you know us? I know you ever since Gogo started working with you. We're never sent out from school. I was touched, Ken.
You saw little Ethel.
I saw a little Ethel with so much hope now, with the work that I was contributing to. That night I cried, Ken. So this is the argument which I was now giving my other colleagues to say, guys, the testimonies out there are more than what we have lost. But it is what it is. When you're hungry, Ken, at one time you need a return. So things happened, fights, but I continued. I remained standing. 2020 came. COVID-19 hit.
A big hit.
A big hit.
Everyone is locked at home.
Everyone is locked. I'm closing down the little branches that I'd put up. There's no way. Told guys, we need to go home. We are not an essential service. Go back home. But somehow in me I said no. But we are an essential service. If those women will not get capital to even get into that sewing business to do the masks, who's going to give them the money? I started arguing my case to get those letters. You'd get letters for you to be able to travel. We did it. And it was in that particular year in 2020, Ken, I bumped into a competition, the Africa Business Heroes competition, sponsored by Jack Ma, the Chinese philanthropist. I was just sitting home. I started applying that competition, sending whatever they wanted, yesterday's financials, just sending, putting in my applications. Wow. Eventually, at the end of the year of 2020, I was the second runner-up. I came third.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Out of so many, over 22,000 applications across Africa.
Across Africa.
Till this year, I've been the only Zimbabwean who has ever won that competition thus far. Imagine, I said, now it is what it is. And I won a $150,000, which came early 2021. It was just prize money. No strings attached.
A grant. A gift.
A gift.
Wow.
Go ahead, Ethel, and do what you have to do. You're making so much impact. I argued my case during that competition, Ken. I said, you know what, guys? I'm in an economy which is a bit difficult. But if you look at my work, I'm contributing to Sustainable Development Goal number 1, number 3, number 5, number 7, and number 8. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing solar home systems, that's renewable energy. I'm working with women, that's women empowerment. I'm giving decent work to my colleagues. I think that time I had just about a work employee complement of about 33 then. Yes, look, but I'm also just a youth, just like them. I think I deserve this prize money. And it was awarded to me.
Amazing.
I was so excited. So 2021, I can say this is exactly where then MoneyMart was rebirthed, restarted.
Had proper capital this time.
Proper capital has been instilled. $150,000 has been instilled. And I had no thoughts about it. Ken, I never even thought of going to buy a house. I had to you see how passionate I was about this business and the impact it was making. I had to put it all
in the business.
In the business. I put it there. That's the money that has grown to where we are, where I'm talking about 35 branches across Zimbabwe, and we are still counting.
Amazing.
We want to get to about, in Zimbabwe, we want to get to 60 branches.
60?
Yes.
By when?
Yes. I'm sure by end of 2025.
Next year?
Yes.
We want to double.
Exactly. And why we are saying that we have already stepped our foot in Zambia, we are already there. So the expansion and what we are seeing is so amazing. And our strategy, Ken, is to work with SMEs, especially women and youths.
I believe 70%
yes,
currently is women.
They speak to me. I'm a woman. I started this business as a youth, and no one could give me assistance. And I'm looking at them, I'm saying, if I don't do it, yet I experienced this, no one will do it for them. And who knows, maybe the next giant as MoneyMart Finance is coming out of these guys, and our community will be a better place. So because of the work that I was now doing, I was now a public speaker. You know, during the competition of ABH, this is when I got a coach to teach me spoken English, how to present myself, how to talk about the business out there and convince the investors that this is the business to talk to. So this is where I really improved even in my spoken English. It's not so far long ago.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
We wouldn't be having this. I would
be
be
in
saying,
Vignicula.
start again. So now after that, this is when then I was recognized and given this honorary doctorate for the work that I've done, for the interviews they came down here in Zimbabwe, did to women I was working with, how their lives have been changed. They did interviews with my team, how is Ethel's leadership to you guys? And they realized amazing things have been done. That's how I was honored a doctorate to say, you know what, you are a true entrepreneur from the background, from where you're coming from, the resilience that you have shown, you have stayed in there, and how even I've grown my team. Now I'm talking about a team that now has got a staff complement of about 220, Ken.
220 people.
220 people.
Ethel, unfortunately, we're running out of time. In the last minute, I want you to tell the audience, you've infected positively more than 10,000 micro-entrepreneurs. From rags to riches. From nothing.
Yes.
What do you attribute this to? And what is your final message to close?
My final message to the audience is that, you know what? In life out there, it is only the brave that can withstand the fortunes of life. You need to brave up. And for me to be here, I see the grace of the Lord upon my life. You know, I'm a strong believer. I believe in the resurrection of the dead, of Jesus Christ. And I believe one day, especially the times that we are living today, these are the times where we need to brace up because we are in the end times. And I'm saying, if we continue holding on to that faith, there's nothing impossible on this earth. I believe I am walking in my calling as a person. This is the purpose that I've been given as my destiny by the Lord himself. You know, the work that I'm doing, I do it out of the heart, Ken. I will not tell you how many children I'm sending to school right now. It's not like MoneyMart has really grown for me to be able to do that. It's the purpose that I've understood, that this is the effect to humanity that my calling has to go through. I always say I'm a financial inclusion evangelist. I evangelize about financial inclusion. And I believe if people have got hope in this life and they can do these things in this life, they can worship the Lord wholeheartedly. They can raise up their hands and they'll be happy because the Lord wants us happy. So my word to the youths out there, you are not too young to do it. You can do it. I know there could be so much generational gaps and you're trying to knock at the doors of those top guys. You need them at one point in time as mentors, but you need to start on your own. If a Gokwe girl did it, you can do it too.
You've heard it. You can do it too. Thank you for watching tonight. Please like, share, and pay it forward. Good evening.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.